So, hey guys, back again, and let's continue building what we have. Okay, or let's check what we have. We have already the login and sign in. Okay, so we can log in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We already have an account created. Okay, and we can see the changes. So, what we're going to do now is add the posts. Okay, and handle all the configurations that we require for that. So let's log out, and since we have free access to everything right now, okay, we can do it, and we will add the access control later. Okay, so let me just do something and have my okay. We're going to create. I just minimize the OBS on my other screen so I can see the code. Okay, so on reducers, we're going to create another reducer that is going to be create.js. Okay, and we're going to need another component. Of course, we don't have that yet. That is going to be also in create.js. Okay, and another action create.js. Okay, so we need 3 files. Let's start with this. So let me copy one of this. No, I have my own. Forgot that I'm following my own code. So let me go to create and let's copy already what we need. Okay, we're going to need first React and use state from React and redirect, since we're going to add the redirections after creating the post. Okay, let's only create right now the constant that is going to be create equals to function, and let's return something. Return, let me see if I'm returning something else. Seems not. Okay, let's just return a React fragment by now and say p create component. Now export default create, and this should be working. So we have this, and if we go now to okay, because we don't have the route, that's nice. Let's go to routes and let's add the import for the create from components and the new create file. So we're going to do the same. Let me copy that and paste it. So this is going to be what we have on the nav.js. That is the create. So let's go back to routes and say create, and we are going to go to the create component. Okay, so save that, and let me see if there's a problem. No. Okay, it's compiling, so it compiles, so we can see create component, login, sign in at the main component. Okay, so let's start. Well, let's create first the reducers and then add the form and all we need. Okay, so let me close the navigation. We need the reducers open. Let me close the sign in. Okay, and the login. So we have the actions and the reducer. So let me move this, okay, so I can see. Now let's first create the reducer. That this is going to be constant. I'm going to name it create post, and okay, this is going to be, or over set is going to have the state that is going to be this post with an empty object, the action. Okay, so all this we already have it. So this is closed here. or just let me add the space in there, so that should work. I can remember how I had indented that. Let's say action type. This is all the same that we have been doing. It's been a day since I added or I recorded the other video, so maybe that's why I'm a little, the state, the state, and we're going to pass this post, okay, and inside that post the action payload. And after this, let's just add a semicolon there and export default the create post. Okay, so our initial state is going to be this empty object, and when we have the create post action, we're going to pass the, or when we dispatch the action, we're going to pass this. Okay, so now we need to create the action, but first of all, for the action we need to actually have the Firebase function that adds. Okay, so let's do it here, down here. So we need the Firebase function that adds the post to Firebase. Okay, so okay, let's say async, and it's going to be create post. Okay, just let me move this a little bit because I'm okay, so I have it there. Okay, and we're going to set a post. This is going to be an object. Now we're going to handle the uploads. Okay, so we're going to create, remember that we already have the storage configured in Firebase. So we're going to create this storage reference that is going to be Firebase that storage. This is a function that ref, or a function or a method. That's a method of the Firebase class that actually comes with the Firebase installation. Okay, so not our class, but the Firebase installation. Now let's say constant storage child is going to be equals to the reference, and we need to have the path to the reference to the child inside the storage. So this is going to be the post. Okay, this is going to come from the form. We're going to send an object to this function. Okay, so the post is going to have a cover and a name. Okay, so this is going to be a file. So the post object is going to contain a cover property inside, and from that we want to have the name. Okay, you will see in a second how this works. So let's say constant post cover equals await storage child. Okay, that put post cover. So this is the actual file. Okay, so this is only going to create the reference, okay, using the name, and this is the actual file that we are going to upload using put. Now we need to download the file or the URL, so we need to wait for that to finish. So it's going to be a storage child that get download URL. Okay, so once it is uploaded, so we're going to wait for that to finish the upload, and then we're going to have access to the reference URL. Okay, so we can download that and store it. And now constant file ref, let's actually say it like this, file ref is the post cover, that is the reference, okay, of the file uploaded. We're going to get the reference, okay, the location, that path. So this is the path of the file. So this is going to give us the URL, okay, so let's say URL, and this is the actual path that Firestore keeps, so we can delete the image, okay, in case we want it. The URL is not going to be useful in order to delete the image, okay. We need the actual reference of the image inside Firestore. It's only the name of the image, okay. And now we're going to create, let's say, let new post equals, let's say, title that is going to be coming from post title. Remember that we're going to send an object to this, okay, so that post is an object. Now the content is going to be post.content, and the cover, that is going to be the download URL that we are defining here, okay. So that's why we're using await, because we need this, okay, to be available. And file file ref, just like this, and it's going to be the file ref, okay. We define it here using the location of the file. From this, we're only going to say constant. You can skip this constant Firebase Firebase post, okay. But what I'm going to do is just respond with this, okay. Await Firebase Firestore. This is a method collection. The collection name is going to be posts. So remember, if we don't have the collection, Firebase is going to create it for us. And let's say new post. So we're going to pass this object with the title, content, cover, and file name. Okay, and remember that we're going to handle or catch for this specific catch error for this specific await. Okay, it's going to be console.log error. And now we're just going to return something that is going to be Firebase post. This Firebase post is going to contain the response of the creation of the new post, okay. In case you want to do something with that. I can't remember if I did something with this, but we will see. We will discover. Okay, so this is the actual function that we're going to require. We created this before creating the form, because I'm just going to add the action, okay. And for the action, we need that function to be created, okay. So we just created that. So for this, we're going to export. This is the action, okay. Export the constant and create post equal. We're going to receive a post, okay, and we're going to return a async function that is going to pass the dispatch, and they're going to create this constant Firestore post. It's going to be the await for the function we already added, that is create post using the post. So we can dispatch the type that is going to be create post. That's what we define on the reducer, and the payload is going to be the Firestore post, okay. So that's the post, the return that we are going to send this, that is the post response after creating a new document. So, okay, now we should have everything. We have the component that we are going to finish in a second, but we have the action and we have the reducer, okay, but we're missing something. We need to import this reducer inside the main reducers, okay? So let's say create post from create. Let me double check that. Okay, is this one, and so this is only going to be create, and it's going to use create post. Okay, so just like that. Okay, let's go back to this. Let's say create return undefined during initialization. Okay, what is going on with that? So let me do something. If I okay, so the problem is this one. So is the reducer create post. Okay, post action create post. So this should be working. So we don't need this right now. So let's see what's going on. The action should be done. So let's create post. So this is it looks the same. Let me just copy this and paste it in case I'm not doing it correctly. Okay, so we don't need this right now, so let me get rid of what I have there that is not being used. So this should create post. Okay, so let's see. Reducer create return undefined during initialization. Reducer, let me check my reducer in case there's something I'm not. So I'm on reducers. This is the create. Okay, and let's see my create reducer. So the naming seems to be okay. Constant create post. The state is going to be this post only. The action, so let me just move that in case it's not. The initial state might not be undefined. Okay, so maybe you must. Oh, okay. Yeah, the problem is that it says right here. If the state passed to reducer is undefined, you must explicitly return the initial state. Okay, so remember that we need to return here the state. Okay, I forgot that part. So this should work. Okay, so now we can continue with the create component. So we have all the parts we need. So let me close all this. The reducer and the action should work now. So let me go to my component because we need to import two more things underneath the redirect. Okay, that is going to be the use dispatch from React Redux and the create post action. Okay, that is this one. That's why we're exporting this from the actions create, that is this file. Okay, the one we just created. So we're going to do some things here, but I think I'm going to add first. Yes, let's oh no, because I'm using a loading. Okay, so this is going to be a little different. Okay, how we're going to handle this. So let's first start. I'm going to copy this because you should already know how to define this. Okay, so we're going to define. Sorry, we're going to define the title, content, and cover, and the state handlers. Okay, for each one of those. We're going to also use the redirection. Sorry if I have some different namings with this, but I forgot to change them, so I'm not going to change them right now. You can change them, so yeah, you will have the files. So, or in case you are building this following what I'm doing, you can just change the naming. Okay, so we're going to do something else here. This is just defining all our constants and our setters. Okay, so we're going to use this loading, okay, in order to show a loading state before getting the document, because you will see why. No, this is not. Well, in this case, it's going to show only the loading, and we're going to see why we need this when we get the specific document. Okay, but once we get there, I will explain. This is only for to show a loading. Okay, so let's say constant dispatch is going to use the dispatch, the function we already used before, and I'm going to create this one by hand. So it's going to be constant, the action, create post action, is going to be equal post, not posts, but post, and the dispatch, that is going to be the action, create post action, okay, that we are importing here on line 4. And remember, what we are passing here is going to actually be passed inside the dispatch into the action. Okay, so that's how we are handling in the passing of the data to the action using the dispatch. And whenever we want to call that action, we just call this create post action as a function. Okay, so we will see that. We're going to define right now, because it's going to be, well, let me just add something, because this is just the redirection. Let me add the redirection here. Okay, we already know what that does, and let's actually define the form that is going to be inside this. So we still don't have a way to add anything, okay, any information. So let's add that. Okay, and let's create this variable called form. So this is going to depend on the loading state of the application. Okay, you will see why. So in the case this is this loading is set to true, that we still don't have that. Okay, we're going to, well, let me just copy this, because this is just pure HTML. Okay, so let me just add some indentation there so you can see. Let me just add some. Okay, so this is what we're going to set this variable to be, this div of class name processing. And so when we send the information, the loading is going to be set to true, and we're going to show this loading. In this case, it won't have the styling. Okay, so it's only going to show a request is being processed and the actual div that says loading. Okay, but whatever loading is false, Okay, when loading is false, we're going to define the form to be something else. What? The specific form that we require to send the information. So I'm just going to, well, let's add the form, not from, form. Okay, in case you want to or don't know how to do this, we're going to handle an onSubmit that is going to be at post. So this function, we still don't have it yet, so let's add it above here. So it's going to say constant at post. It's going to be only a function with the event, so we can say event that prevent default, and let's say just console.log form sent, just like that. Okay, so it doesn't tell us that it's not defined. We already defined that, so that should work. I'm just going to create this, not create, but copy this paragraph, just a paragraph that says create a new form. And now I'm going to create the first one and copy the rest. So this is a label HTML4 title post title, and below it we're going to have the input. I don't want it to close like that. Okay, so it's going to have this one, actually the type text, the name, title, and the onChange is going to define, let me just remove that spacing, it's going to define the state using set title and the event that target that value. Okay, so this is going to set, whenever we type something, it's going to change the state and add the value. Sorry, my throat is okay, and add the value to the title. So I'm going to copy the rest because are just the same, using the same process. The text area that onChange sets the content value, and the other one that is the files, or the the file singular. So this one is going to have the cover, okay, and it's going to set the cover to the event target files, not the value but the files. We want the file list, okay, and the input, that we need an input, the input type submit, that creates the submit form, okay, the submit button. And we can actually remove this and pass the form here, okay, so that should create the form. And if we add something, we're going to change to the loading state, okay. So we don't have that functionality yet, so, but let me say, if we add click this submit, it's going to console form sent. You can post the video if you want, and you can check these things and fix them. Just warnings that some things are not being used, but most of things are going to be gone, and some other things I just don't mind. This is just a tutorial, so you can clean that later. I'm not going to spend all my time cleaning that, so it's going to say that we need to set all this, and this is not being used and all that shit. But so you don't get lost in watching this shit. So we actually need to continue with the add post. So right now it's going to console that, but we were going to set something here. We're going to first set loading to true to change the state, and it's going to we're going to create this post object that is going to have the title, the content, and the cover. Since we already have a title and a content defined as constants, and we are going to use the same name that is expecting Firebase, we can actually just remove this and keep it like this. Okay, it's only being used like this because it's the same naming, so we're defining the property of the object that has the same name to be what we have. Okay, except the cover that is going to be coming from cover. Yes, so we can actually say cover only like this, but we're going to do something here that is we are only going to get the first file. Okay, we only want the first file. So this is going to return, if you want multiple, an array of files, and you can loop through them and store them or whatever you want. So here we're going to use our action that we have defined here up here on line 16. Okay, we're going to say await this create post. We're going to pass the post so you can see why now we're using cover. And let me go to the create, not to the actual function, just so I can show you. Now you can see we are sending a post object, and inside that post object we are going to have the cover. Okay, so that's why we're using this post and cover, because inside the post object we're sending is going to have a cover property, and that cover property has the name, bytes, and all that shit. Okay, so that's why we're using the name that is coming from the file. So now once that is done, we set loading, so we need this one to wait. Okay, until that is done, we're going to set loading to false. Remember also that this is returning, no, this is not returning nothing, this is returning nothing, right? And let me go to the action. You can also return something here, okay, if you want. So in this case we're not returning anything, so we're only going to wait for that to finish and set our state. Okay, so when we set redirect true, it's going to use this one. Okay, now you can see I made a mistake here, and don't make this mistake because you might be thinking, okay, we're going to use the action, right? So this is the action that we are importing here. Okay, so this is not going to work. We actually are setting this create post action to use that action inside the dispatch. Okay, so we actually need to call post action here. So create post action, and now you can see that we're using what we have on line 16. So let's save that and let's see if it works. Okay, we need this one to be async, and let's see. Let me open this on another screen. Just give me a second. Meanwhile, check your code and whatever. You can see that we only have these 3 messages right now. Warnings. Okay, these are warnings. I'm just opening this. Okay, but I don't want you to see my other projects. So this one is React Redux hooks tut, and let's go. Okay, I just opened the database. You can see we have nothing here. Okay, so I can see what's going on there. So let's say first post. This is the first post. Choose file. This opens on my other screen. Let me get one file, open, and create post. You can see it sets this loading state. This is going to take a little bit. Okay, that's why I added a spinner. I didn't check how to get the task process. I was mostly worried about how to make all this work that I forgot to add the task processing. Okay, so you can see the actual numbers, like 50% and 60%. So right now it only has the loading spinner. So you saw that we got redirected, and what we're going to do next, okay, so I'm going to refresh this first before finishing this video. Okay, so you can see we have the posts. Okay, and this is the first post we just created. So this is working. It's actually sending the information there. And if we go here to the storage, okay, let me show you. This is the image we just uploaded. So you can use your own image and whatever. So I'm just going to have that there. And we're going to finish this one right here. And on the next video, we're going to add the listener, okay, to the different, not to the different, to get a single post and multiple posts, okay, on this page. So yeah, we're going to continue that in the next video.